Hello, I'm Rob Reynolds, and welcome to Al Jazeera's U.S. Election Weekly, a regular wrap-up of our U.S. election coverage. Each week, we'll be bringing you the best of our reporting and the most lively debates, all from an international perspective. Here's what we've been taking a look at this week.
I'm Avi Lewis at the Democratic Convention in Denver. Today we're embedded with Iraq veterans against the war as they bring the occupation home.
Swing, push them that way. Push them that way. Fight, we're taking fire. Watch our backs. Watch our backs, we're taking fire.
Tell me what you were trying to achieve with the action today.
Well, today's action was an Operation First Casualty. It's a guerrilla street theater performance where we reenact the brutal occupation of Iraq. I think it's very important to highlight how we're treating the Iraqi people so that, you know, passersby and civilians know that you can't spread democracy by brutalizing innocent people. And, you know, we're still there and this is still going on, and I think it's important during all of this political convention stuff that people realize that there's still a mission to be done, and that is immediate withdrawal.
Shut up! Shut up! What the hell did you just say?
Barack Obama says on day one of his administration he's got new orders for the military, end the war.
I'm going to be extremely happy if that happens, but I honestly doubt it is.
Why?
Because I believe most of it is rhetoric. I mean, the whole separation between Democrats and Republicans, to me, is this idea that Democrats are traditionally anti-war, but if you look at the history, they're not. They're just better at hiding it. And I really feel like the rhetoric needs to be followed with action. He needs to get in office, he needs to start developing plans, and I feel like it'd be a great opportunity for him and us to be able to give him some of those plans for what an immediate withdrawal would look like, and what reparations would look like, and what full benefits for returning veterans would look like.
Don't move! Move! Give me a reason to shoot you! Come on! I dare you!
What does it do to you personally to go back into that zone of being on patrol?
The main part of it for me is I didn't like how I treated the Iraqi people over there, the aggression and the bitterness that I felt that was misdirected. I felt like they're my enemy because I'm there and I don't know why I'm there. It put me back in that zone of being angry and aggressive, and it's not a good feeling, and I think emotionally that's what gets most of Iraq Veterans Against the War members when we do action like this. I hope that that momentum will gain and that we'll build, and that our hope is through our strategy that it will actually topple our military from within.
My name is Walter E. Fauntroy, and in the decade of the 60s, I was Dr. King's personal representative to the President of the United States and the leadership of the U.S. House and Senate. In 1963, as director of the Washington Bureau, my responsibility was to help organize the march in Washington. The phrase, "I have a dream," was really first uttered in my memory by a Republican African-American who spoke 2 or 3 conventions before '63. And Martin liked it. And of course, he enhanced it in so many ways.
I still have a dream. Yes. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream.
What's the American dream? The American dream is that there ought to be a place somewhere on this planet where people of every race and every creed and every color can enter a social contract to care for, protect, and defend one another, beyond race, beyond creed, beyond color.
Free at last! Free at last! Thank God Almighty! We are free at last!
There were 2 exhilarating moments for me. One was at the close of the speech, when the response to the I Have a Dream speech was so overwhelming. And the other was on Wisconsin Avenue, as people were rolling out of town in buses, singing and happy that the day had been successful.
And I've seen the promised land.
Martin would have been mighty proud of knowing that one of the things that resulted from his leadership in the 60s was that the political process opened up to the point that now we have a serious candidate for the presidency of the United States, which would have been unheard of and undreamed, really, back then when he gave that speech. 40 years later, however, we're ready to move into the promised land.
Here are the simple facts.
There is a comparison between Martin Luther King Jr. and Barack Obama. And the comparison is this. Both were technically competent and spiritually mature. What I see in Barack is what we've been looking for in a generation of young people who would do on their watch what we did on ours. This is the moment I've waited for. I can hear children singing. Church bells will be ringing. This is the moment. And when that moment comes, I think church bells all over the country, black church bells will be ringing. And young people will be saying, gosh, if a black man can be president, I can be president. And so I don't have to be relegated to the least income in education, healthcare, housing, and justice. I have a chance. So I can be Tiger Woods, or I can be Barack Obama.
Is America ready for a black president? And will Joe Biden's nomination attract more white working class voters to the Democrats? It's a group Obama has struggled to win over so far. Mariana Sanchez traveled to Scranton, Pennsylvania, the town where Biden was born, to find out.
No one knows who's going to win in November at the South Side Bowling Alley here in Scranton, Pennsylvania. But all bets are on. On weeknights, the local bowling leagues, made up mostly of construction workers and former servicemen, meet for a beer and to hang out. This part of Pennsylvania has always leaned Democratic. But the question is, will towns like Scranton, more than 90% white, vote for an African-American candidate? Sean Casey says he'll probably vote for Obama, although he knows some people like him might not.
Most of the part, America doesn't want to see a black guy in office. Same thing with Hillary. They didn't want to see a woman in office.
Years ago, Scranton was a bustling city home to coal mines and steel mills. They are all now long gone. Today, Scranton has a famous hometown son, Joseph Biden, who lived his early years in this house. A white working-class man himself, Biden was carefully chosen as Barack Obama's running mate to attract that part of the electorate that will be Obama's toughest to win. The votes of white working-class Americans are key to win the presidency. So neighborhoods like this one around the country have become a battleground, one that may prove hard for Obama as an African American. At Obama's headquarters, dozens of volunteers are working to win over undecided voters.
Calling from Senator Barack Obama campaign headquarters here in Scranton. I'm calling to remind you that
Pennsylvania is one of several swing states that could define the election. A latest poll of Pennsylvania voters shows Barack Obama ahead of John McCain in virtually every category except white working-class men.
I'm also hoping that by the time election day comes, people will understand that their personal needs and the direction that they want to see this country going is far more important than the color of Senator Obama's skin.
Here, they are working hard to convince white working-class voters that Obama is the man who will fight for their jobs and their wages. Race is an issue, but not the most important here in Scranton, where the global economy has passed most people by. And these men say whoever can come up with the best program to change that should be the next president.
People are, well, they're fed up with the administration, now the present administration, so they want something different. And if McCain can give something different or Obama gives something different, they'll go for it.
As the campaign gets rolling this autumn, Barack Obama will have to prove to these voters that even if he doesn't look like one of them, he's on their team. Mariana Sanchez, Al Jazeera, Scranton, Pennsylvania.
I think we'll have an interesting discussion now. I'm joined again by Richard Poole at the far end of the table, who will be voting for John McCain, by Vanessa Dixon, who sacrificed her spot in the stadium to come across and be here with us, a profound Obama supporter, and Glenn Ford, who is actually voting for Cynthia McKinney and the Green Party. So we have a spectrum. Let's start with Vanessa. The first thing that we heard on Al Jazeera tonight after the speech was our senior political analyst saying that it was a very progressive speech. Do you think so?
I think it was progressive. I think it was common sense. I think that Obama laid out a vision of hope very much like John Kennedy, but he buttressed that message of hope with specific plans about what he plans to implement, how he plans to fund it. It was very detailed. It was very necessary.
Okay, but you got to say that.
No, I don't have to say that. I absolutely don't.
Did you feel that it was genuinely progressive, that he was speaking in the language
well, I think it depends on how you define progressive, number one. But I think that in terms of a Democratic candidate in a country in which he, out of necessity, must appeal to progressives to the far left and as far to the right as he can, I think it was a very progressive message.
Richard.
Well, I think we heard tonight most disingenuous, platitudes, and also what struck me, the absence of any mention of Reverend Wright. You didn't see that in his biography. I mean, in terms.
Isn't that a scandal that we're all perfectly happy to be passed unless we're Republicans?
He's talking about his past.
Yeah.
And this man was allegedly his spiritual leader for 20 years.
Right.
And then
It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
Middle America has to be asking itself tonight, can we trust this man? And I say they can't.
Thanks.
From a progressive standpoint, these were very slim pickings indeed. Let's focus on what he actually did promise.
Please.
He promised that he would cut taxes for 95% of working Americans, and he would cut the capital gains tax for small businesses. Nobody can out-tax cut the Republicans. They're down with both of those things, and they would like to eliminate the capital gains tax entirely. He made promises about becoming independent of Middle Eastern oil in 10 years. John McCain says the same thing. Anybody can make that promise. It's a very shallow one. He called for clean coal, as if there is any such thing. And he called for nuclear power. And, the Republican Party really is behind that.
Vanessa, these are all bipartisan messages, you have to admit.
No, I don't have to admit that because it's not true. McCain is not calling for the same thing. McCain wants to engage in offshore drilling. That's not environmentally sound.
Well, Barack Obama already caved on offshore drilling.
He simply said tonight that it was a stopgap rather than a long-term.
Exactly.
But I think you could argue that actually it may be a long-term solution, but it's not a stopgap because it actually takes a long.
It's not a long-term solution, and he doesn't advocate it as
your candidate has embraced
wind
it.
technology. He advocates hybrid vehicles. He advocates alternative forms of fuel. Obama advocates much more than McCain is advocating. Much more. He doesn't want to give tax breaks to the oil companies. He's talking about renewable energies. It far surpasses anything that McCain has said.
And Obama promises to rebuild the United States military. That basically is a promise to increase the military budget. And if you increase the military budget, forget about those other programs, which he was not very specific about. For example, paying teachers more money, all kinds of social programs that he makes reference to, but never in a very substantive way. You don't get that with a bigger military budget.
Let's talk a little bit about the invocation of patriotism, and clearly a play to the attacks from the Republicans on his patriotism, the invocation of the legacy of warlike Democratic presidents who have defended the nation. What do you make of that, Richard, as a Republican?
Well, I think, as I said earlier, it was disingenuous because I look at the actions of an individual. The walk has to match the talk. And the walk hasn't matched the talk prior to this. Now he talks about he wants to unite. He's more of a divider than a uniter in terms of the comments he made. In terms of, I see class warfare, really. And in terms when you talk about,
that may be the one thing that gets Glenn excited about Obama.
I see class warfare.
There's no basis to support. There's not a shred of evidence to support Obama being anything but completely a uniter. His message from beginning to end has been one of unity, of bringing people together. You can see that is indicated by the breadth of support that he has in terms of the diversity of support. It is very much a message
Instead of
unity.
arguing whether he's a uniter or a divider, can we discuss whether or not there are interests in American society that are actually in competition, in direct competition? Can a president, apart from just for political reasons, try to appeal to everybody?
No.
Oh, certainly one can. And in fact, what we need is a president, or a candidate rather, a progressive candidate, who does draw a line, who understands that there is such a thing as class warfare, and the ruling class is winning it.
No,
Go ahead,
I think
Vanessa.
Obama doesn't try to appeal to everyone. I mean, I think the message has been very clear from Biden and Obama and everyone connected with this campaign that if you like what Bush is doing, if you like this downward spiral of the United States economy, health care, housing, if you like that, then you should vote for Bush. But if you don't want that, then you should vote for Obama.
Richard, I'm sorry, that was the last word for now.
Now, John McCain's announcement comes on the heels of Barack Obama's presidential nomination acceptance speech in Denver, Colorado. Millions more Americans watched Obama on television as he became the first African American to become the presidential candidate of a major U.S. political party. Al Jazeera caught up with a group of African Americans just outside of Washington, D.C. to find out what they thought.
With profound gratitude and great humility, I accept your nomination for presidency of the United States.
It was something that I never dreamed that, I'd actually witness what I did tonight. It was just an awesome experience.
We are better than these last 8 years.
It's like having a dream, and you wake up, and, oh, it really happened.
You could see the people themselves rising up, And he's the only one talking about change in the proper way.
It's not a black thing, though. There were people gathered around televisions all over this country, white, black. I was even noticing that those things were making me teary-eyed tonight, to see Asian and black and Latino and white, and the fact that even the ticket is a white man and a black man together with their families embracing on stage, and the black man's at the top of the ticket. Are you kidding me?
We are here because we love this country too much to let the next 4 years look just like the last 8.
8 is enough. 8 is enough. I never imagined he would get the majority vote and win to be a nominee.
John McCain likes to say that he'll follow bin Laden to the gates of hell, but he won't even follow him to the cave where he lives.
I never imagined the United States would be open enough to embrace a young black man. Not in my time. Not while I was still young enough to be a part of the process. And I'm just overwhelmed.
We hope you enjoyed our look at the U.S. elections this week. A reminder, you can keep up to date with all the election news on our website. That's www.aljazeera.net/English. Until next week, I'm Rob Reynolds.